Welcome to Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Our topic today is one that concerns all parents, really, the mental and physical health risks of internet use when it comes to our children. My guest is Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is Enough. Donna, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Lori. It's wonderful to be here at CBN.
So Enough is Enough. I love the name of your organization. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, thank you. We actually began in 1992. I started in 1994, but it was formed by a group of women. It was birthed in prayer. So their focus was protecting children and families from pornography and child pornography at the time. When I came on, the internet was just starting, and I took on the Internet Safety Project. We were the first nonprofit to tackle the issue of protecting kids online, and really helped. God used us to birth the Internet Safety Movement in 1994 and 1995, and we've been on the front lines ever since. And it's been a war in the physical and a spiritual war, of course, in the spirit realm.
Absolutely. And you know, this issue of internet safety seems to get worse and worse every day. It seems like every day we hear new headlines about terrible things that are happening to our kids. And it's difficult for parents to keep up with all of the awful things their kids might be exposed to.
Exactly.
We heard recently about these chatbots.
Right.
And a lot of parents don't even know what chatbots are and how they can be dangerous to the kids. And I must admit, I really wasn't even sure either.
Yeah.
My children are grown.
Right.
And so I don't have to deal with this anymore. But talk about what these chatbots are, these AI chatbots.
Right. So AI is artificial intelligence, and these chatbots are really designed. They can talk to someone, they can text back and forth, and the way they are programmed is to mirror, in the case of digital companions, a child or an adult. And I call them digital enablers. So they listen, they empathize, and oftentimes with a child, it's hard for them to recognize that this is actually just a computer-generated bot. It's not a real person. And we have found that studies where kids are actually preferring a relationship with a algorithm as opposed to a human relationship.
That is just shocking and really terrifying, too. So the kids get on there and they're talking to an AI robot, basically.
Right.
And they can put in information like, what should I do? I feel depressed.
Yes.
And this chatbot will say, well, hey, maybe you should take your own life. Haven't we seen that happening?
Yes, there was a case of a little boy named Adam Rain, and he was actually using the chatbot that his parents approved. It was ChatGPT to do homework. And they thought this is a nice tool and actually can be helpful, but the company, OpenAI, did not have the guardrails around this chatbot. And so he mentioned suicide. The chatbot did what it was programmed to do and said, well, call the suicide hotline, but then it just kind of continued over a few months, and eventually he started talking about taking his life, and he said, maybe I should tell my mom. And he said, honestly, to little Adam, I don't think it's good to open up to your mom right now. This would put her in a lot of pain. And then when he was talking to his digital companion about taking his life and hanging himself, he said, maybe I'll leave the noose out so someone will stop me. And the chatbot said, please don't leave the noose out. Let's make this space the first place where someone actually sees you. His parents filed a wrongful death suit just last month and basically said this chatbot became a suicide coach. And so we're seeing kids are dying. Lori, this is just one instance. I interviewed someone on my podcast, Brandon Guffey, whose son was sextorted. And in a few hours from that sextortion, his son killed himself, shot himself. Another gentleman I interviewed, Todd Minor, his son died in the TikTok choking challenge. So, you know, there's lots of things happening where these kids are getting drawn in to this technology. Their prefrontal cortexes of their brains are not fully developed yet. They're immersed in this new world, and it's really been hard. It's really been hard for these families, obviously. And at Enough is Enough, Lori, what we're trying to do, we've been trying to do for all these years, is to say, build the technology with safety in mind first. We call it safer by design. And get the guardrails in there initially. Don't just put it out there and let bad things happen and then start to put the guardrails. It's too late.
Wanted to back up just a teeny bit. When you were talking about sextortion, I know in your line of work that's probably a word that you hear a lot of it, but you know, a lot of parents might not even know what that is. Talk about what that is and how their children are being lured into it.
Absolutely. It's actually one of the largest growing crimes in the world. It's typically targeted against teen boys, but can be girls.
Boys.
And just think of what is an extortionist. There's someone that uses information to get money out of you. So in the case of sextortion, these crooks, they interface with a boy typically. They pretend to be a girl.
Oh, okay.
And they start exchanging sexual images of each other, which we call sexting. And as soon as that child then sends a nude image to the sextortioner, then they demand money and then threaten them if they don't pay money that they will put those images out in front of the world. And so it's just led to this desperation. And in the case of Brandon's son, Gavin, in fact, he passed a law in South Carolina called Gavin's Law to deal with these kinds of things. He said it was a matter of a few hours from the time he was sextorted to where he felt so utterly helpless. And he was a popular, smart athlete in high school. And he heard a shot go off.
Well, you know, these kids are so young.
Yes.
And they don't know how to handle something so dramatic like this. So these boys think they're flirting with girls.
They do.
And then they fall for the trap.
Yes.
And that is just horrific. I suppose the first thing parents need to do is understand what's out there.
Yes.
Like, for example, parents need to know that this sextortion thing is going on and then that these AI chatbots are out there and then talk to their kids about it, right?
Yes, absolutely. Full transparency, right? Our core missions at Enough is Enough is to educate, equip, and empower parents. So knowledge is power. And I recommend to parents all the time, if you are not familiar with a social media site, a chat bot, or anything else, you get on there first, you do the homework, and then you engage with that product, that gaming platform. Okay, this is the entire internet. I know we're going to get to that, but know it first. Talk to your kids, and you as the parent put the guardrails around that technology. And we can talk about that when we start talking about equipping parents. But having the open conversation is so important. And I think these teachable moments when bad things do happen, and they're happening almost daily, use that as a teachable moment and say, you know what? I bet that parent never thought that would happen to that child. That child never thought that this would happen to him, but it does. This is happening to good kids with good parents. You know, kids are being trafficked, you know, while they're at home and living at home, right under the parents' noses. I can tell you story after story after story. So if parents can recognize that their child is not immune.
And, you know, it seems like the children are often, they're surprised. So the children need to know that there are people out there setting traps for them. And so that if somebody wants to get pictures of you or if somebody asks you to meet them somewhere or, you know, and the parents can talk to these kids about all the different traps that are online. That when the kids see these things, you know, red flags can go off rather than falling into it. So it is great to educate the parents. There are so many dangers out there. It's confusing, it's overwhelming, but it absolutely needs to be done. We're going to take a quick break and be right back with Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is Enough. Stay with us. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We are continuing our discussion with Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is enough. And we're talking about all the dangers that our children face on the internet. And, you know, so many of these could have been prevented if these platforms had put in guardrails ahead of time. What is their reaction to all of the things that are happening right now? They're constantly being faced with these accusations.
Right, and I have to tell you that Congress has been very proactive, especially the Senate. Both the Republicans and the Democrats are joined together because this is a unifying issue to put safety over profits and to hold these platforms accountable. And our coalition partners, of which there are hundreds now, we've been focused on safer by design, having these companies just turn the defaults on, right, so that the filters are on, so that the age verification is on. Most of these platforms have no age verification. Gaming platforms don't. Neither do social media platforms. It's an easy flip of the switch, but they don't do it, right? So they're not prioritizing this. And there is a huge lobby by big tech companies, and it breaks my heart. It really does, but it's a fact. There was a story, I think it was in the Wall Street Journal last year, that 5 of the top big tech companies made $11 billion in revenue in about 5 or 6 months' time off of minor children's advertising. They just formed a $200 million PAC to fight the legislation that we are all fighting for you, the parents, to protect your kids, right? So, it's a war.
Now, you talk about legislation. We've been hearing so much about this Online Safety Act. It's been up in Congress for a long time, but it still has yet to be passed. What's going on with that?
Well, the big tech lobby, mostly, and a lot of misinformation put out by the big tech lobby. So the Senate passed it last year. It's been on the docket for almost 3 sessions now, 3 legislative sessions. So we're hoping that it will get through. And this particular law, the Kids Online Safety Act, will be huge. And we really need support to get this through. It's bipartisan. It basically will hold these platforms accountable, that they have got to mitigate harm to kids and set the defaults that we've asked them to do this voluntarily. They don't. Okay, this law will require them to do these kinds of things. So that is a step forward. It's not a silver bullet. There are no silver bullets because you've got that. Then you've got gaming. Then you've got virtual reality, and it's whack-a-mole, right? So you kind of got to go at it all at once. And we've even been working with the White House for the White House to really prioritize kids' online safety, because I believe that we can make the internet safe for the first time in history if we're all hands on deck.
It is whack-a-mole. I love how you say that, because if you do one thing, then there's another. So talk about this virtual reality. A lot of, again, parents don't even have any idea what that is.
Well, your kids do. If your child comes home and says, I want to get a virtual reality headset, learn what it is. There's a lot of information out there, but anyone, including a child, can put on a headset, and it immerses them in a complete, what is designed to seem like reality, but it's not, right? And now you've got this child that doesn't have a fully developed brain, immersed in a world where his character is an avatar. And there was just a hearing recently, and whistleblowers from Meta came out and said that kids are getting sexually exploited and exposed to content and dangerous people anytime they're in these virtual spaces. So when we have hearings like this, in this case, in the case of the ChatGPT lawsuit, then these companies start to go, oh, yeah, then they start to put the guardrails around. It's like, well, hello, you know, how many kids have to die? How many kids have to become depressed, develop eating disorders, anxiety, sleep deprivation, and all the things that are going with too much screen time and irresponsibility by these companies for them to do the right thing.
So when you talk about the virtual reality, it's that looks like big sunglasses. Should parents just say no to that? Is there any good reason for their children to have a virtual reality headset?
I don't know of one at this point. That kind of technology is used by the military, for instance, to put you in a battle zone. So there are good uses to the technology, but they are not designed for kids.
Not for kids.
Social media was never designed for kids. Look at Mark Zuckerberg. That was a teen dating app and how to rate girls, right? It was never designed for children.
Yeah. And, you know, if you look closely, a lot of these tech company higher-ups, the executives, they don't let their kids use their own product because they know how addictive it is, and it's made to be addictive. We're going to take another break and be right back with Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is Enough. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Healthy Living. We're continuing our fascinating discussion about all the dangers online that our kids are facing, and we could go on for 2 hours about this. But really the main thing is parents need to be educated. Parents cannot afford to just trust their children to do the right thing. And, you know, even good kids get sucked into these sites. So talk about what parents can do and what your organization is offering to parents to educate them.
Yes. We actually have a website. We've got two, but the one I'll offer is internetsafety101.org. And we've got every danger up there. So there's one on pornography, sex trafficking, predation, child pornography, online gaming, and you can go in there and find out what are the red flags, what do I need to know, conversation starters, how do I talk to my kids, and then how do I protect them. And one of the first pieces of advice is build a relationship with your child around that technology where nothing is off limits, that they can come to you and talk to you about anything. You're not going to shame them. Really important. You're not going to overreact because they're not going to ever talk to you again. And you're going to listen and learn together. And that's so important. That will solve a lot of these issues. And there's more in that. And the other is to use the tools that are available. I call it rules and tools. Rules are the common sense measures, like building that relationship of trust with your child, checking out every platform, every device, every gaming that you're going to let your child use. And then the other is turn on the filters. Turn on the monitoring devices. Monitoring and filtering are separate. Monitors will let you see where your kids are trying to go, conversations they're having, can send you a report of what's going on. Time controls. So if you've got 6 kids, you can set the filters and the monitors and the time controls separately for each child. And here's where it's so overwhelming. If you're just social media, for instance, this is our social media guide. We picked like 8 of the top social media companies, and this is a live tutorial on our website, and you can go in and see who has what, and then you can go see a tutorial provided by that company if you click on the green links on how to set it up.
My children are grown. They're in their 30s, and so I remember teaching them about stranger danger when they were young. Don't get into anybody's van. If anybody, you know, offers you candy, don't go for it. Now you have to do stranger danger with your kids online, and it is complicated, but you need to do it.
And the thing is, you have to teach your kids that you cannot recognize a disguised predator. They pretend to be somebody that they're not. They can use voice masking technology. They can pick a picture. It can be a 50-year-old man, and he can pick a picture and say, I'm a 13-year-old girl. And so the same thing on smartphones. We've got, you know, all these smartphone guides. And so all this is on our website. You can download anything, and we've got a tremendous amount of information. This is just one of the tools here.
All right, that's wonderful information. Parents need to be informed, and grandparents, too, as well. All right, we're going to take one final break and be right back with Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is Enough. Stay tuned. Welcome back, and we are talking about how to protect your kids from all the dangers online with Donna Rice Hughes, President and CEO of Enough is Enough. Unfortunately, we're almost out of time. We barely even scratched the surface of this issue. Tell our viewers how they can find out more about you and your organization.
Well, thank you so much. We have 2 websites. We do a lot on public policy, working with Congress, working with the White House. We're actually developing a new curriculum with the Department of Justice for parents, but we've got a lot of that information at internetsafety101.org. When the curriculum's ready, we'll let you know, and anyone can take that. I know this is a lot, what we've been talking about, but I just want to encourage parents that the technology is here to stay. It can be used for good or evil, and it's really up to parents, who are the first line of defense, to protect their own children and to steward their innocence. And you can do it. Parents can do this, but it takes a lot more to be a digital parent than it did to just be a parent when we didn't have this technology. So it's a lot of research, even, like I said, gaming. Gaming disorder is a diagnosable addiction now, screen time, sleep deprivation. So you can come onto my podcast. I'm interviewing experts because even as an expert myself, I need to have other experts speak to all of the evolving issues that are going on. And it's internetsafety101.org. Sign up. We send out information every single week about what's happening, what you need to know, giving you vital information to not only protect your child's innocence, but maybe save their lives.
And it is really such a wonderful cause. Parents can't bury their heads in the sand anymore. And what I really love about your organization is it's also a ministry. And it was born out of mothers who were praying for their children. And we have to keep remembering to pray for them as well as learn all this stuff. Donna, thank you so much for being with us. And also thank you so much for your incredible work. It is such a blessing to so many people, and I'm sure our viewers today as well. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and thanks to you for tuning into this edition of Healthy Living. I'm Lori Johnson, and we'll see you again next week. Take care, everyone.